Valenzuela, would you be a buyer or a seller of Apple given the news flow over the past week?
Well, unless they're going to give you a 4G update for free, I think that I'd probably be buying dips on Apple. I think that the 5G rollout is going to be huge across the whole spectrum for chips, obviously for Apple. You know, people are going to want the latest technology. They're going to want the latest streaming technology. There's so much you do on your phone.
In the road. This is not
I think
an existential
Well,
threat.
it's a correction, right? So we're down 5-7%. It's taking all stocks down. So I don't think it's just Apple that's going down. But yeah, I would be a buyer on
well,
dips
because
of
if it's not existential, guys, then it again is Apple at a 5% discount.
Well, I mean, so
moves like this are pretty big.
The issue is you can still be bullish on Apple, but the stock can go down further if things get worse with regard to the trade front. And we've seen it before, but all it takes is a phone call or a tweet from President Trump to make it all turn around. Apple is an interesting story only because the corporate fundamentals here could be argued to be really good despite the fact that you have these headwinds in China. And there could also be a situation where they have enough pricing power to be able to pass some of those costs off to consumers,
right,
or they could have the demand latently there to go and get people to buy phones.
This is an interesting question for Starbucks, too. I mean, there's a few of these mega consumer, like U.S. consumer names. Do investors worry that this run now becomes reputational risk for them? I mean, just because it seems to have turned sort of nasty. Look, the Chinese just came out an hour ago, not even, and said they're suspending purchases of U.S. ag products. They don't have a lot of other
Which they haven't bought, by the way, since November, on top of everything else. So
they don't have a lot of fronts to fight this trade war on. At some point, do U.S. companies become a target?
Well, certainly. And I think, you know, you use the word existential, and I wouldn't go that far in a truly existential threat. But I think people have to respect the amount of risk that there is out there right now, whether it's Apple, whether it's Starbucks, whether it's broader market concerns and global market concerns. You know, when you have $14.5 trillion of negative yielding debt, the U.S. Treasury, the 10-year note,
probably another trillion more after today.
Probably another trillion after today. You know, people do have to respect, I think, the risk that this goes much farther than anyone can contemplate. This president, yes, can put out a positive tweet. He can also put out a negative tweet saying he'll take tariffs above 25%.
Fathom what that means for
But this risk is different. We're talking about the yuan, which is the first time we've seen a break below 7, a key psychological level. Less than levels, what's more important, it shows that China is willing to use an alternative measure to push back against the escalated tariffs that President Trump warned of last Thursday.
By the way, this isn't even deliberate on China's front.
Well,
they are not active. Well, no. What I'm saying is they are not actively intervening.
They're just allowing
it to float the way that it should have. And arguably, you could say with the Chinese economy doing the way that it is, the currency should be weaker.
Or as Michelle and some others are hinting, perhaps using the U.S. as a scapegoat for some of the capital flight issues.
But remember that September 1st is when the tariffs go into effect. So between now and September 1st, there's a lot of tweets that are going to happen. And there's also a G7 at the end of August. So basically, you have central bankers pushing in one direction, and you have political forces tugging in a different direction. So that's the tug of war that we see right now. On the yuan, I mean, it broke 7, which is kind of no surprise really to anybody who's been watching it. It was just only a matter of time. But, you know, what the United States should do is say, a strong, like Robert Rubin would say, a strong dollar is in our best interest, and we're going to issue 50-year and 100-year bonds to fund an infrastructure package.
You've been pushing this for a while.
Exactly,
I have to say, with the 10-year at these levels, it makes more sense.
Why not borrow?
Yeah.
I mean, given the license to.
Austria's, what would say, century bond? Is it eye-wateringly low levels?
Yeah, it makes little to no sense.